Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wanderer's Haven. It is Wednesday, and that means that we are here to play in the wonderful, fantastical world of Ysterra with these lovely, fine people that I have at my virtual table with me tonight. We have an interesting show for you tonight. It is the finale of what has been dubbed the Chaos series, several different arcs of storytelling involving an overarching theme with a few recurring characters for it and some new faces with each arc and the like. If you are at all interested in checking out the previous episodes, not just for this third arc in the series, but the first two arcs as well, you should check that out on the Wanderer's Haven YouTube page. And the episode that you are watching tonight, if you don't get an opportunity to watch it all this evening, you can catch it on VOD on our YouTube page in the next few days or so. Thank you, Stacy UK. Hi from the past, I guess it is, since you're technically in our future. Thank you so much for joining us up late. I know you can't stick around for too long, but we appreciate you sticking around for us. We love you very, very much. We are going to jump right into the action here in just a moment. We have just a little opportunity here for these folks to introduce themselves and the character they're playing tonight. As always, I would like to shout out tabletopaudio.com. They're amazing for music, ambiance music particularly, that is suitable for any and every game out there. If you want to bring their awesomeness to your table, just go to tabletopaudio.com. They have tons of free stuff, or you can do like I do. You can support them on Patreon, get access to a bunch of private material and whatnot that is exclusive to their patrons. It's all great. You'll love them. Also, thank you so much to Jeremy, the wonderful proprietor of the Wanderer's Haven channel, who has graciously allowed me to meander and tell these stories with these awesome people every week, or most every week that we can do them. And yeah, I think that's it. Let's give these fine folks an opportunity to introduce themselves, and we will kick things off with Aaron.
Hey everyone, my name's Aaron. Tonight in our finale, I'll be portraying Karnak once again. He is the rogue monk with the Way of the Shadow. He's fun to play, he's fun to portray, and hopefully tonight he won't die, because I'd love to see him potentially make reoccurrences in Ysterra, potentially in the future.
No promises on any end. We'll see. Moving right along, how about the Beth Masco is here?
Yeah, I am. It's very exciting and nerve-wracking. I've been told that things are going to get wacky, and I'm thrilled for that. Tonight, I'm continuing to play Sai, who is a Night Warden Twilight Cleric, but Night Warden to the Ascendant Nocturnus, who is a big sleepy bear. And so much more, which you can learn about on Miko's website. But yeah, I'm stoked to see what happens.
Yes, indeed. As am I. I don't think I used the word wacky, but we'll see what happens.
I heard it.
Okay, sure. You can check out more about Ysterra, as Beth mentioned, by going to ysterra.theoksgm.com and learn about all kinds of cool stuff from there. Moving right along, Deb, always here to save us from ourselves. Why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, it's me. I'm here again. I'm Deb. I am here playing Maeve, the group mom and resident plant witch. It has been such a pleasure to play Maeve over the past couple of arcs, and I am sad that this is the finale, but I'm excited to see where our story wraps up this evening.
As am I. It's been great doing all of this storytelling, and I don't know, maybe you'll get to revisit Maeve in the future, assuming that, she survives. We'll find out. And last but certainly not least, Ian. My man.
Hey, that's me. I'm Ian. Hey, everybody. I'm Ian, obviously, said that. I'm playing Kettle Portsmouth, the Dwarven Wizard, who I'm actually having a ball playing. So I'm just ready to jump into it because apparently it's going to get wacky. So.
Again, not the words I would choose, but, I can't control what you guys do. So who knows? With this group, it's very hard to say just what's going to get wacky and what's not. Finishing things out here, I am Miko, otherwise known as the Okayest GM. I am your humble host and game master for the evening, and yeah, I think we should just dive in and figure out if you guys are actually ready to do this. So, welcome everyone to the world of Ysterra, a fascinating world with a rich and magical history, the tapestry of which has only just begun to really be filled and told. We find ourselves in this modern era of the world on the verge of a magical industrial revolution. The Ascendant, magical beings imbued with divine power that have been tasked with protecting the world for the countless eons of untold histories, they have kind of waned from the prominence of the world. They have secluded themselves, locking themselves behind a magical gateway of their own creation to watch from afar, their influence upon the history having been tumultuous at best, and after a particular incident known as the Alluvance, which saw a great many people perish in its wake, the landscape of the world itself permanently changed for all of future events. They decided to seclude and fulfill their duties to protect the world of Ysterra from its many threats abroad at a distance. Now, in this wake of their falling away from the prominence in society, the mortals society have arisen more and more than ever before in history. Varying societies have grown in strength, others have weakened, but in all of this time, in the almost 1,000 years since the Alluvance, since the withdrawal from the world that the Ascendant took place in, since that era, a lot has changed. And the threats are still there. The threats to the world that have existed for eons are now not simply fought by the Ascendant. They are fought by mortals, by people that work to their own ends to save various peoples or different parts of the realm from destruction. And over the past many months, in this particular story that we are telling here today, there have been a number of threats. Those brought about from the uncovering of a trio of ancient, fiendish masks. Masks that held influence over 3 different people that donned them without fully understanding what that meant. The dominant influence of these masks put aside the mortal minds that put the masks on, and in that mistake, they created an opportunity for chaos in the realms. 2 of the mask bearers have already been dealt with. Their machinations to cause destruction and chaos in the world, to influence the events of history, to seek revenge upon the Ascendant themselves for some ancient slight. Those events were stopped. The people that are part of our story today participated in stopping those circumstances, and now they yet again face a dire threat. The third mask bearer, hinted at being named the Hungry One, seeks in some way to unleash a cursed plague upon all of Ysterra. The reasons for this are not known, may not ever be known, but the threat is very prominent. And our heroes that have worked in the shadows for significant portions of their lives, that have sought to do better in society, well, they work in the shadows once again as they delve into the Black Timber Woodland, the source of this curse, to try and stop this mask bearer, this Hungry One, and prevent catastrophe that may not ever be duplicated, hopefully never comes again if they are successful. As we move our story in, as we find our group, they are awakening after a night of uneasy rest at the edges of the Black Timber Woodland, in a place ostensibly safe, or at least perhaps was in years past, the Bone Orchard, a simple, secluded, and solemn sanctuary for the many spirits in the world that are lain to rest there. A place that one of our friendly heroes, Maeve, comes from. A place that she brought her friends to, where they witnessed the people and the circumstances of the Bone Orchard, laying to rest someone of importance that hailed from the woodland, meeting several of the other druids of the grove that reside in the Bone Orchard, talking with people from Maeve's past. But all of that is behind them now as they awaken and stand at the edges of the dark forest. Your evening's rest was successful but fraught. Each of you had difficulty sleeping. No one slept through the night. You awoke individually several times. Perhaps one time or another, one of you may have jolted awake, and one of your companions awakened by your jolt, or maybe they were already awake before you did. You're not entirely sure. Each of you this morning can share with one another a knowledge that there's something not right. Your dreams were dark and incongruous. You're having a hard time grasping a memory of them now in these waking moments. But nonetheless, as you awaken, you do have a moment where there's a positivity that reaches into you through your nose as you smell a breakfast, a warm and fluorescent odor of sizzling meats and perhaps some fresh grown vegetables and the like coming from outside of your tent. A quick look, and you can see several members of the grove present around you. Around your tent, anyway, that is. Gathered up with a few makeshift tables, nothing really more than logs and stumps and the like that have been laid out. There is a well-built and controlled fire at the center of everything, where you see the familiar Thistlebeard, the dwarven companion to Maeve, cooking away at several different pots and pans at the ready. You see Songwind not far off, prepping a few plates and the like with some fresh vegetables and fruits and greens that have been picked for the morning. You even see little Yara, although anyone that were to call her little Yara would certainly meet the sharp end of something violent. You see her standing not far off, tending to a few glasses of some fruit juice or another, perhaps a blend of different ones, kind of preparing herself. And along with several other individuals that you might have seen on the previous day, you also see Elder Aelinor, the stalwart figure of the grove, standing not far off, not really supervising. It's not really his style, as it were. It's more about his presence, just being there and comforting everyone around. Who would emerge first, you think? I'm assuming not Ian, since he just left us.
I think it would be Maeve. She likely slept very lightly, if she slept much at all, being very familiar with the dangers in the wood ahead. And so when she smells the food cooking, she kind of gets up and heads out, hoping that her companions can get a little bit more rest.
Yeah, unfortunately, rest will not find any of the rest of you either. This is a very familiar circumstance for Maeve. The druids often gather in large groups for meals and the like, although probably can't recall the last time these figures were all present with you for such an event. Everyone's spirits seem to be relatively high, but any of you that have any decent level of a passive insight can ascertain that there is an undercurrent of concern on everyone. But you do emerge. Thistlebeard spots you coming out and says, "Oh, come on over. I've got a nice plate here brewing for you." And he proceeds to set out a few of the things that he knows that Maeve likes most onto a plate.
I've missed your cooking. It's been quite a long time.
Apparently you haven't missed it enough to come back. And he just kind of winks at you and smiles as he hands the plate forward to you. I guess it's all the more justification for you to come back later, huh?
If I can.
No ifs. You'll make it. I know you will. I believe in you. And the rest of you slowly start to emerge from the tent as well as you look around and see all of the people present.
Oh, good morning. This is a nice surprise.
That smells amazing.
Yeah.
As you say that, you see
I'll sit down and
Thistlebeard
eat.
like reach into a pouch and sprinkle something. You have no idea what, but he sprinkles something over the food that he's preparing, and a good bit of it like falls into the fire as well, and like the fire kind of swooshes up a little bit and like changes color across its flame. You're fairly certain that was more for effect than actual seasoning of the food, but
It's cinnamon. Cinnamon does that when you put it in fire. Yeah.
I'm sure at this time Karnak and Anklebiter have like put their nose out of the tent, and you just hear Karnak go,
I smell meat.
aye. And like he basically takes like a wooden fork and stabs a chunk of rolled sausage, and he kind of flings it at Karnak. Roll a dexterity check for you. I'm gonna roll one for Anklebiter. Let's see who snags it out of the air. How about that? Anklebiter got a 15.
It's gonna be him.
Okay. Yeah, Karnak goes to snatch it, and very quickly, Anklebiter just right in the way, and then just sits there chewing on it, staring at Karnak.
Karnak's gonna walk over to the nearest table, sit down, look for a plate of food, and just...
This one's mine.
Staring at his companions as they've sat down.
No one's
This
gonna take
one's
it.
mine.
Oh, it's like that here? Then this one's
Yeah.
mine. It's
Mine,
it's
right
just-
here.
Okay.
You've learned well.
As
And I'm just
everyone
like-
claims their food, there's some confusion amongst the non-party members, but no ill is meant or anything for it, so no one takes it as such. And over the course of the next, 15, 20 minutes or so, a nice meal is shared. As you all begin to kind of finish up the majority of your food, Elder Aelinor actually approaches Maeve and sits down next to her and says, I hope that today's endeavors go well for you, for all of us. I know that you are capable of doing a great many things, young May. And I have the utmost confidence in you and your companion. I wish it was so that we could journey in with you. But unfortunately, circumstances have a great many of us spread thin along the outer edges of the woodland. It would be ill-advised for me to take too many resources and... Well, you understand, I hope.
I would not wish to put any of the circle in more danger than they're already in. It is enough that your well wishes go with us.
Well, we have more than well wishes and food. And he kind of looks over at Yara, and he gives her a nod. And Yara proceeds to go over to a tree where there are several lanterns hanging from a tree. You can see when you look upon these lanterns that they are wooden, but they're not sculpted like what a woodcarver would sculpt. They are seemingly grown. They have a natural kind of organic flow to them that looks magical in a way that only perhaps a master of the natural magics of the world could create. They are lanterns, though. You recognize the shape, and there's an intricate... It's not glass. It's hard to describe. It's more like wings where glass would be. The vines themselves kind of branching through these slightly discolored panels all along the edges of where the light emerges from these lanterns. And through these panels, with it being unlit, you can see what appears to be a acorn, maybe, or briar, or some natural piece of a tree at its center. And as Yara brings all of these lanterns over to you, there's one for each of you. You can look them up, by the way, in D&D Beyond as the Lantern of Nature's Light, and you can add them to your character sheet. This is something that that Maeve is very familiar with. These magical lanterns are one of the few ways that people are able to see in the woodland, because once you enter, there is no light unless you bring it with you, unless you do something that produces light, and even then it's still hard to create such things. And these lanterns, magical as they are able to provide illumination that you would need to go in. As Yara kind of hands each one to you, she lingers for a moment on Karnak. And she's looking up at Karnak, obviously, because Karnak is easily, like, more than 3 times her height for... I think he's about 3 times her height. And as she's kind of looking up and she hands the lantern up to him, there is a moment where she locks eyes with him, and it's not in Karnak's mind, it's almost like a whisper in his ear. He hears her voice, and she says, "You bring Maeve back to me. You got it?" "Yeah, that's right." And she just like punches him in his thigh. Like not Charlie horse style, but enough that he felt it.
Spry, ain't you?
She just winks at him and then moves on as she continues handing out the lanterns.
Hey man, she likes you.
Leans over to Maeve. Do they all do that?
No, just Yara.
Right.
She likes you, dude. Yeah.
Weren't we gonna set her up with you?
No.
Oh, that's right. You locked the recorder.
I take back everything I just said. She hates you. She thinks you're terrible.
That's what I thought.
So as the lanterns get handed out, you can see everyone takes that as kind of a cue, and they start like cleaning up things and the like. Seemingly that's the nod for preparation that you all are about to enter the woodland. Did any of you have anything else that you wished to discuss with anyone present or yourselves before you head in?
So
I think Sai will just give a look to Maeve before they step in. Okay.
Okay. Do you know where we're really going?
I mean, yes? Don't you?
Yes.
I'll have the utmost confidence in y'all now.
All right. Stepping into the deep dark woods with these pretty lanterns. Let's do it.
I'm just gonna hang mine on Kettle until I can figure out a way to make it sneaky.
Please don't. I have stuff
But
enough on
it
me
fits
already.
so well around your neck, you're like a little lantern carrier.
It's not
boy.
that. I'm not that little. Stop it. I'm a grown man.
You
I'm
used
holding one
me as a
here.
table yesterday.
holding one.
It's only fair I'll get to use you as my personal lantern carrier.
Carry your own damn lantern. I'm trying to focus on this darkness.
He just like hooks it onto his backpack and just starts walking in front.
Okay. All right. Let's do this.
Not that it would help much given, how dark it is here, but if we need it, I don't know how far our journey is in here, but I can always give this just a little bit more sight. So I guess we'll wait and see when that's needed. If it's needed. These lanterns are
I'm good.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, no. These lanterns are cool, but if we need, I'm fine. He might need it. He's blind as is, so. You got a sausage thrown at your face at breakfast, and you want to sit here discussing your eyesight?
Look, I was waking up, alright? And Ankle Biter had already been up for at least a few minutes, so I was like, sure, let's give him the sausage.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know what? I'm just gonna throw you in a bush later. How about that?
You can try.
While all that's been going on, what has Maeve been doing?
Maeve has been
Besides shaking
farewell.
her head.
Yeah, she just kind of brushes them off. She's been saying farewell to the other druids.
Like any
and
good mom, she just tunes out the kids.
Yes. And before heading off, she stops Yara and she says, "If I don't come back, tell Philora that I'm sorry."
You say that, and Yara looks up at you, nods somberly, and then she turns her head to the side, and instinctively you kind of mirror and turn your head in the direction that she's looking. And as you hear Yara say, "She knows," you see in the distance, kind of hard to pick out amongst a couple of the trees, you see Phalora leaning against them. Even at this distance, from her body language, you can tell that she still has that doubt, that anger, that pain. It's kind of present in her now. She almost wears it like a cloak at this point. And she doesn't want to come closer. You can tell that. Just the fact that she's here and that she didn't immediately go away as you looked over. That's something, at least.
Maeve will bow in her direction in the manner of the druids and then turn toward the woods.
All right. Everyone ready to follow suit and head off into the Black Timber Woodland?
Yes.
Nope.
Okay.
Like an eager beaver.
These
Let's
are
do it.
perhaps not the trees that a beaver would particularly like, but anyway, as you gather yourselves and head forward into the Black Timber Woodland, you have your lanterns at the ready, and you can feel hesitation in your steps. Even if you're not trying, even if you believe that you're going forward willfully, there is there's a pause. There's a slowness with your movements. Karnak in particular can tell quite easily that Anklebiter is holding back. That Anklebiter is very shaken by what you guys are about to do, and still going through with it. Each of you can feel this in your companions. No one is stopping outright or anything, but there's a sense of something. And as you step into the Black Timber Woodland, a heavy, oppressive air envelops you. You depart from the verdant leaves of the bone orchard and into a dark place beyond your imagination. I need all of you to please roll a saving throw versus fear.
Is that...
Do we get to pick?
What was...
I'm sorry, it's a charisma or a will saving throw, willpower saving throw. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
It is a will save versus fear.
Fucking balls.
Your DC is 19.
That's
I'm guessing by the shaking
solid
of heads.
10.
I have
Damn,
a plus
so
8
close.
on this, and every fucking time.
Same.
11.
Oof.
I mean, I rolled really well, I thought, and I still failed with a 17.
Wait, I have things. Hold on.
Kettle pulling out tricks.
Mm-hmm. I think I get a +1 to this. Nope, 18. Shit.
Oh, so close. So all of you have the frightened condition at the moment. You can feel the power of this place pierce into you very quickly. For Sai, perhaps more so than any of you, there is an even more palpable fear, a memory of this darkness. The trees around you bear a almost sickly hue to them. The twisted and gnarled branches seem to lean in over you as if listening to your every step or even your very thoughts. The air is thick with a scent of decay, and a palpable sense of dread hangs over not just yourselves, but the forest entirely. There is no light in this place, and your lanterns seem to struggle to push back the darkness, even designed as they are to fight against the darkness of the Black Timber Woodland. They struggle against it. The shadows here feel alive, moving and undulating in ways that defy the natural play of the light created by your lanterns. It's as if the forest itself is imbued with an insidious hunger, feeding off of your fear and anxiety. And the deeper that you venture, the more overwhelming this sensation becomes.
Maeve turns to Sai. If at any moment you need to take a break, you let me know.
I will. I'm good. You don't believe her at all. It's not. There's not. Yeah, but Sai definitely braces themselves and continues forward.
Karnak, Kettle, is there any reaction from the two of you in this circumstance?
I think since Karnak didn't fail horribly on this, and the other characters might notice, but he probably would crouch down a little lower, and his stride would shorten a little bit. So he goes from this confident sort of walk towards more of I'm very unfamiliar with this place kind of walk, which would still be fearful in his mind, but He wouldn't outwardly sort of show like hesitancy. It would just be approach this with the utmost caution kind of thing.
I think the same with Kettle too, not because of like experience. I think it's just more so of noticing how Karnak's approaching this and emulating that, because in his mind, um, he's extremely nervous, right? So again, didn't feel it too bad either. He's not freaking out, but he's definitely more frantic and like keeping his awareness about him.
Okay. As you all continue to move forward, sigh. Things start feeling familiar to you. Not just the physical trees, not just the surroundings, which you have been here before, although it was a fleeting circumstance with which Sai found themselves in the forest before they were, or the woodland rather, before they were rescued by Maeve so many years ago. The emotions of all of this are too familiar for Sai. I think Sai would start to panic a little bit within minutes of making entry into the forest. There's a fear beyond what the rest of everyone else is feeling, but that's not what Sai would know. Sai would only know the power of this fear as it starts to consume them.
You can hear Sai's breathing get a little louder and faster, and they're trying to control it to the best of their ability. And I think Maeve would probably see that Sai is clenching their fists really tight, and then like releasing and clenching again. Still taking steps forward, but yeah.
Maeve grabs their hand and just squeezes it tight. Just a little bit farther. There's a ward.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that your goal here? Maeve is going to be leading everyone to one of the nearby wards.
Yep.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, I was just gonna say, does Karnak notice Sai freaking out a little bit heavier now?
Does he have a passive insight above 11?
17, yes.
Then yes.
Only that much?
Dang, it's that obvious. I would say at this point, after Maeve kind of tries to reassure her, if he continues to see her doing that, he'll lean in and he'll go.
Oh, we don't have any audio from you.
You muted yourself.
You're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself. He leans, after Maeve does that, he'll lean into Sai and he goes, I'll promise you, if you give our position away, I'll be a lot scarier than whatever's out there.
That's definitely not how you want to
Thanks.
approach this. Oh, jeez. Ah, man. He doesn't mean it that way.
It's okay.
What are you doing? Huh?
I'm looking out for the group.
No, you're being a jerk. Don't do that.
I'm sorry. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this.
Better?
As you continue forward, Maeve is guiding you, knowing this place much better than any of the rest of you. Maeve, you can feel everything is wrong. The forest is always dark and foreboding, and this is not a place that good memories come from, but it's never been like this. It's never been this oppressive. The other interesting thing that Maeve knows is usually, and you've been traveling now for perhaps an hour or so, usually by this point, you would have come across one of the many undead denizens of the woodland. They have a innate and seemingly unnatural primal sense of the living. And usually within a short time of entering the woodland, you have to face at least one of their number. But you haven't seen a one yet. You haven't seen sign of any of them yet. There's a part of Maeve's mind that wants to think it's because you're moving closer and closer to one of the wards, to one of the central places where magic is most prominent and helps keep such creatures at bay. But you know, because of the fear that is in you, that it's not true. There's something else. And before you can see it, you hear echoes of screams. Hard to make out at first. The shadows, the haunting melodies on the wind of this place. It's not right. There's something disorienting about it. But with each step that you take closer and closer to the destination that Maeve is leading you to, you all can eventually start to hear the sounds of combat. And your steps hasten. You rush forward quicker and quicker, and after just a couple of minutes in the heart of this shadowed woodland, you witness a awful and harrowing scene. There is a handful of the umbral, the denizens of the forest the other denizens, I should say, that do their best to keep the curse of the forest contained. Their faces etched with exhaustion and fear, locked in combat with a massive creature, an immense being that Maeve recognizes as a guardian of the woodland, but not right. It's twisted by an awful curse of some kind, a malevolence that none of you realistically has ever seen the like of before. Its form, once noble, is now warped. Its bark-like skin oozes with a dark and corrupting energy. The Umbral warriors move with desperate determination, their weapons and spells barely keeping this monstrous guardian at bay. The air itself crackles all around you with powerful magic, driving this fierce battle, tension, and struggle, not just against the Guardian, mind you, but seemingly against the darkness of the woodland itself. I need for you guys to roll initiative and see where you enter into this combat, please.
Oh boy. Deb, Maeve still has advantage.
Karnak crit. So he got
Nice.
a 24.
Nice. It's a good time for that to happen. Just saying.
Got a 10.
All right.
My advantage got me an 11.
Hey, double digits.
It's great.
Look at you
Okay,
go.
I got a 6.
All right, Karnak's gonna save the day.
Yeah, you know. Narratively it tracks, so I guess I'll accept it.
Ian, you said Kettle got a 10? Okay. All right. So as we begin, I will set the scene a little bit more here. We're not doing a battle map or anything. This is Theater of the Mind. You're basically in this wooded space. The trees are a little bit less dense in this particular spot than everywhere else. There is a vague sense of the magic in the air, particularly for Karnak. Maeve and Sai and Kettle can probably feel that magic more prominently than Karnak can. And in this moment, Karnak, you can see there's about 8 of these humanoid people running around trying to fight this monstrous creature. 2 of them in particular seem to be leading this fray. A pair, a man and a woman, half-elven, long white/silvery hair, that one using magic and the other using bow and blade, seem to be kind of commanding the others in this fight. And you can see as this creature kind of flails around at them, there are a couple of bodies already on the ground, rended pretty severely by the creature itself. So we'll start with you. What would you like to do?
These umbral humanoids, has Karnak been told that these are allies or at least neutral to us prior
Yeah,
to coming in here?
I think in our last session, Maeve had talked a little bit about the Umbral.
Okay.
And like it was very well established that there are no humanoid, half-elf, human, dwarf, the like people that live within the woodland that are unfriendly to you. They should all be considered allies, because it's the non-humanoid beings of the forest that you have to be careful of. They are the enemies.
Okay. And this combat is taking place in an area that is still enshrouded by this magical darkness, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again?
This combat is ensuing in an area that is in magical darkness, like the lanterns are a necessity.
Yes. The lanterns are a necessity, yes.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll pull that lantern off of Kettle's head and attach it to my belt. That way I can run with it.
I will assume that you already did that.
Okay, sure. And then I'm going to... About how far off are we from the ensuing combat?
It's irrelevant for this circumstance. You can join the
Okay.
fray and fight.
Okay. Then I will try and circumvent this combat to at least position myself behind the creature.
Yeah, you a practiced maneuver that you and Anklebiter do. Anklebiter being much faster than Karnak. Karnak being fast in and of himself. Anklebiter's just that much faster. You like half climb up onto the side of Anklebiter, wrapping one of your arms heavy around the base of his neck, and he takes off running with you kind of hanging off his side until you get around to the point that you want to, where you leap off away from Anklebiter and take off running towards the creature.
Okay. And then if I can, just use my concealed hand bow and apply a poison? Or do you want me to do that for the next turn?
I mean, you can do that now if you want to.
Okay. So I'd like to... have a sneaky suspicion he'll be able to combat this, but apply some frost blood poison to the bolt
Is
in the
Karnak
crossbow.
proficient in nature?
He is proficient in nature.
Okay, I'll give this to you then. Karnak being proficient in nature, he would understand that natural elemental-like beings such as this often are immune to poisons.
Fantastic.
Given how much of a poison user he is, I feel like that would be an area of study for him
Okay.
that he would want to know when it's not going to work.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, then I'll just knock it and shoot at it to try and gauge its defensive strength.
Okay, go ahead and throw a shot.
All right, let's give it a go. We got a 21 to hit.
That hits.
All right, let's see what damage I get. Hopefully a decent amount. Hey, decent amount. He took 8 damage, and I'll reload because I know I'm not crossbow master. I think was the feat in order to reload.
Yeah.
Quickly.
You have sneak attack, right?
Oh yes, I do.
Okay.
My apologies.
He would technically qualify for the sneak attack.
For the sneak attack. All right,
yeah.
Sneak attack dice going. 9 points of damage.
Okay. Go ahead and roll a perception check for me.
You got it.
You can also choose to use your passive. Remember that if you would like to, you can just use your passive before you tell me.
I would, because my
Okay.
passive is great. 21 is my passive.
Okay. So as the bolt pierces into this creature, it kind of blends in with the writhing kind of vine-like bark of its body and disappears into the shadowy crevices that seem to emanate shadow out of them. And it is completely unfazed.
Fuck that.
Now,
No.
Karnak does know the difference between magic and non-magic, and he knows that the bolts from his hand crossbow are not technically magical.
Yeah, that's gonna be real difficult. Alright. I'm just gonna yell to my companions, don't use non-magic. Shoot the damn thing.
As you yell that out, one of the nearby umbral kind of glances over in your direction, seems surprised at you being there, and just shakes his head and says, "Well, of course you don't use magic against it, you dimwit." Or of course you have to use magic against it, rather, is what he says. You do have a magical blade, just pointing that out.
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay.
I just wanted to kind of see
Yeah.
where this thing was at.
Are you going to close in? Because you would have 2 attacks. Are you going to close in and use the blade?
Oh, I could have swore Oh, I guess reloading is a bonus action, right? My apologies if that's the case.
Yep.
Okay. Then yes, we'll close the distance and use the +1 short sword and try and take a swing at it.
Go for it.
23
That hits.
with a resounding 10 points of damage.
Nice. Yeah, you don't get sneak attack on this one, unfortunately, because you can only use it once per turn. But as you draw the blade in one smooth motion, you kind of rake it across the back of one of this thing's legs. Bear in mind, this thing is almost 20 feet tall, right? It is huge. It's lumbering around. It's not fast. It seems to move, though, with a strange amount of alacrity. It isn't just bumbling around. And as the blade cuts across, several chunks of its bark-like flesh fly away, and it seeps shadow out of the wound, and intrinsically Karnak kind of correlates that to an actual injury. And then, after Karnak does that, One of the half-elves that stands out most notably amongst this group as kind of the leaders / commanders of this little tiny squad of Umbral, the male of the two, he holds his staff forward and he evokes a spell from it, and a resounding like a bell of noise just sounds out from it, and the creature kind of roils for a second, seemingly injured by the sound of it, as it turns its head towards Elian, and you can see this strange luminescence of its eyes, the malevolence that it has in its expression, centered towards Elian. And as the creature, as it is now its turn, as the creature is looking upon him and the others, kind of looks about and then surges forward a couple of steps, and it seems to almost inhale as it does this, and then it leans forward and unleashes this massive exhalation in like a huge arc in front of it. I'm going to say it's not going to get Karnak, because Karnak had indicated that he was moving behind it before, but he gets a good number of the Umbral, and also Sai, Maeve, and Kettle. I need for each of you, please, to roll a Constitution saving throw.
At disadvantage because we're frightened? Or is that just...
Does Frightened give you all disadvantage on your saving throws?
Just ability checks.
That's what I thought. It's ability checks and attack rolls, but technically in this case I'm going to say it's not going to give you disadvantage on attack rolls, because there isn't really a source of the fear. It's kind of permeating all around you. I think in this particular instance it's going to be more the disadvantage on ability checks than anything else that's present. But your DC, I should actually check that. Your DC is 17.
18.
16.
Oh, so close. What about Kettle?
12.
All right. Okay. So if you fail, you take 37 points of necrotic damage. You succeed, you take half that, so 18, because of, round down and all of that. As this thing's breath kind of wafts over the space, you see another one of the Umbral fall, and its form almost desiccates instantly as this gaseous, noxious mist kind of clings to it, going up into it. It's in his insides. He kind of breathes it in and then doesn't take another breath as he falls lifeless to the ground, practically a skeleton upon the ground. At this point, the rest of you can feel the horrifying power of this malevolence that has been unleashed upon you. Maeve, you would know that these guardians of the woodland, that's not something that they can usually do. So whatever this curse is that has befallen it is what is causing that capability. And that is it for its turn. So the other twin, technically all three of these guys got the same initiative. The other twin, Ysterra, you see that she has this beautiful, ornately crafted bow in her hands. It is seemingly similar to the lanterns, actually. It is almost grown rather than it is carved. And if any of you are capable of reading or recognizing Elven, you can see a number of Elven runes kind of etched along its outer bow. that are glowing ever so slightly, as without actually pulling an arrow from her quiver, she just pulls the bow, the string of the bow back, and an arrow appears within it, glowing ever so slightly, and she unleashes 3 of them into this thing's body. And then it, of course, doesn't like that very much at all, and it kind of flails out in her direction with an errant swing, too far away to actually hit her, but flails out nonetheless, and that brings us to Maeve.
Does Maeve get any sense that this is like a curse that is breakable, or does she feel like the only option is to attack it?
Is Maeve proficient in Arcana?
No.
I would say that that's probably something that would be beyond her ken initially. If you wanted to take a turn and kind of, look for some kind of manifestation that you might be able to attempt to do something with, I would allow that, but it would take your action to do so.
I think I will, because Maeve knows how important these guardians are, and if she could...
What's Maeve's insight?
Passive insight is 18.
I think in this instance, she would recognize there is no semblance of the guardian left anymore.
Okay.
No, knowing what you're going for there.
Yeah.
This would probably, especially with the fear kind of settling in her mind, I think Maeve this would almost be kind of that despair type of thing that she would be like, oh, holy crap, a guardian is falling, and that's probably going to be too much in her mind to really be able to break this down as something that, whether or not it's curable or not.
Sure. In that case, she is going to cast Blight at 6th level.
All right, and it has to make a saving throw?
Con save 16, and since it's kind of a plant creature, disadvantage.
It is still technically a plant creature, even though it is also undead.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Good thing of the disadvantage, because that was a natural 20 and a 2.
Hey.
All right, so it's automatically going to take 80 points of necrotic damage.
Huh. Okay. Well, it does have resistance to necrotic damage.
Damn it.
But it is not immune to it. And so it's still a massive injury. So what does this blight look like as Maeve casts this spell and it lands upon the creature?
It's like, honestly, like bright sunlight that sort of shoots out from Maeve, and it's like this creature has been in way too much desert sun, and it sort of bakes it and immediately crackles some of its branches and things, and they dry out and wither.
So as like this chunk of its chest just falls off of it into almost like ash, drying and withering away from its form, you hear, as it like raises its head up and it yells into the sky, you hear this unholy just scream of agony, as if its very soul has been hurt in this moment. And would you like to do anything else? Is that it for your turn?
That is it.
Okay. That brings us to Kettle Portsmouth.
So just going with the idea that, it's okay, still a tree at the end of the day. He tucks away his lantern into his chest, like super quick while everybody's doing this, and he dons his utility goggles, and he clicks his knob 3 times, and you can see the tint over his goggles turn a shade of like red. And that provides him the opportunity to see through magical darkness so that he can move and use his hands without holding on to the lantern. And with that, he takes out a small carbon billet from his pocket, and he uses that, and it starts to heat up in his hand, and he's going to use that to cast Firebolt.
To cast what?
Firebolt.
Okay, I thought you said fireball there for a second. Just wanted to be sure.
Well, hey, I mean, it may be in my repertoire. No, he's gonna cast Firebolt, and it's just more so for flair, right? He uses that to like channel all of the heat, and it's just popping off in his hand. It's a dirty 20 to hit,
That hits.
and
So,
that's gonna be 20 points of damage.
Yeah, so as your bolt flies through the air, do you want to describe any visual cues on this bolt? What does it look like as Kettle casts this and the bolt flies across to hit this creature?
So when he takes the billet out and he it's like heating up in his hand as he's doing the verbal components for this spell, when he launches it, it looks like an arc of a hand weld sparks. Like if you just had a series lines of sparklers that are just crackling in the air, and when it hits, it explodes into the spot to where it connects.
Nice. And as it slams into this creature, I will say that Kettle, more than anyone, is surprised at the impact as it slams into it and explodes in a ball of fire that Kettle is not accustomed to seeing when he does this spell. It takes double the damage, actually.
Oh, so 40 points. Okay. And is that something that I would like kind of like glean?
I
Or
mean,
is
I'm
it just more
assuming
so
Kettle is proficient in Arcana.
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah. Kettle would understand that this creature is the opposite of resistant to fire. It's very much vulnerable to fire and fire effects.
Beautiful. So like a huge smile is going to come across his face with his goggles, and he's kind of doing one of these things where he's like, oh, that's cool. And he puts his goggles back on and he turns to everybody and goes, fire! Use fire on it!
Great. And so then after you do that, the other Umbral that are gathered, some of them kind of engaged with this thing in melee, unleash a few attacks, and there's some arrows that go flying. It seems like none of them are, none of the ones that are standing anyway are capable of using magic, and perhaps it was one or two of the ones that had fallen that might have been the magic users, besides Elian. Anyway, it is now Sai's turn.
Okay. Sai is going to step forward just a bit and reach out and send the familiar blast of guiding bolt energy from them. Instead of, normally it feels like it's like it pulls from their body and expels, but with this there's also sort of like a shiver down their back as the magic comes out, and it's a 27 to hit.
No, that doesn't hit.
All right,
Of course
that's cool.
it hits.
That's my turn. Okay, so that was at 4th level, so it's 7d6, so 24 points of radiant damage, and then I'm also going to use a little divine strike in there as well for another 4 points of radiant damage.
Okay. As this radiant energy slams into this creature, you can immediately know there is several things that happen for Sai in this moment. First, the fear subsides in their mind as they strike this creature. There's a confidence that kind of washes the fear away. And as it strikes, the radiance kind of washes over the creature's body, obviously harming it significantly more than the magic would portend, similarly to the fire that Kettle had unleashed. This radiant power just explodes in a bright light. Several of the umbral have to like shield their eyes from the brightness of the light, being kind of unused to seeing such things. And as this creature, or as this radiant energy kind of bursts into the flies into the creature and then bursts away, there is a cool blue light. Cool as in the sense of color, not cool factor. A cool blue light that starts emanating in its chest that you hadn't seen before. And in what seems like an eternity but is mere moments, that blue light kind of rises up into its upper body, into its shoulders, into its neck, into its head, and then there is a violent outburst of explosion of this energy that washes across the entire battlefield. A wake of power erupts. Anyone that was within melee of the creature, so sorry Karnak, finds themselves immediately knocked off their feet. Karnak, being the skilled and adroit monk that he is, though, quickly tumbles backwards and gets back up to his feet quickly, ready to continue the fight. But as he looks up, he sees the crumbling form of what is left of this creature falling to the ground in front of everyone. As all of you kind of stand and look around and looking for any additional fear, there is a moment of pause. There is a silence in this time, in this wake of the creature falling. And as it falls, you hear a cackle, a laughter, an eerie voice that seems to cry out from the shadows. Maniacal glee in the sound of it. And as that cackle begins to fade, a name can be faintly heard as the laughter slowly diminishes. Sigh. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we're going to take our break for today. We shall be back in just a few minutes. We're going to stretch our legs, refill our water, and the like. I encourage all of you to do the same. Staying hydrated is very important. And if you're watching this on VOD, we will be back in just a few seconds. And if you're watching with us here live, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. And we hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I hope you all got some refreshments, because we now get to find out what all of that crazy combat meant with the whispered voice ringing out in the aftermath of destroying this cursed guardian creature, cackling gleefully and saying Sai's name. So, as we come back, the creature has fallen. You all are shaken by the sounds of what you heard. Several of the umbral that you had joined in the fight to help are also seemingly shaken and out of sorts by all of the events. However, the twins, as Maeve might know them, Ysterra and Elian, their minds seem to be very focused, and they are well fortified and don't seem to be suffering the same amount of fear and confusion that perhaps others are. And in looking over at all of you, there is a moment of recognition from Elian to Maeve. Ysterra kind of stays at the back, seemingly a little bit more cautious than Elian, but Elian approaches very quickly to Maeve and says, I know you. You're from the orchard. We met the once, I think it was. I'm sorry, I do not remember your name.
Maeve.
Right. Maeve, Elian, this is my charge. We're wardens, and thank you for what you have done. We weren't certain if we were going to succeed at that one. And as this conversation is happening, the rest of you can kind of see Illyra relax a bit, and she commands, she goes to a couple of her umbral companions and asks them to help her check on the dead, while she commands the others that are not doing that to scout the vicinity and look for any additional dangers. Elian stays there in front of Maeve and says, I don't know how to thank you for what you have done, you and your, and he looks around to the lot of you, which you and your companions have done. Thank you.
It seems that we arrived just in time.
Yes, we had held out for quite some time, but Guardians are extremely powerful, and whatever it is that caused, and he kind of looks back at the smoking remnants of the cursed Guardian, whatever caused that made them even stronger.
I'm sorry to see an end to a Guardian like this. Is this the only one you have seen turned?
Me? Yes, but it is not the only one that I know has been turned and corrupted. Many of the natural creatures of the woodland, whilst usually and often corrupted by just the very nature of this place, seem to be... whatever the darkness is, it's gotten stronger. And he's kind of a little bit out of breath, and he's kind of leaning on his staff a little bit as he's talking to you, and you can see a weariness in him. He looks like he hasn't slept in days.
Is there...
Oh, I'm not here. Sorry.
Is there a center where these things are emanating from?
We haven't been able to really ascertain that. No, I don't. The Guardians are all from the Eclipsed Grove. So there is concern amongst my people that something is affecting the Eclipsed Grove. And as he mentions that, Maeve would know that the Grove is... it's not necessarily at the center of the forest, but it is where the wards of the Black Timber Woodland are strongest. And the Guardians almost exclusively, unless they are desperately needed somewhere else, guard the Eclipsed Grove. So much so that they even keep the Umbral out of the Eclipsed Grove.
Is there anyone in your group that needs healing?
He kind of looks back and sees the ones that are fallen. And there's a kind of pain as he turns back towards you and says, "We'll be all right. We're used to fighting under, well, maybe not quite as dire conditions as this, but we're used to fighting when the fight is usually given up by many. So we'll be fine. Where are you going?"
It seems that we are going to the Eclipsed Grove.
I would not... I would not hope to command one such as you in such things. You, of course, can do... are free to go, but... be mindful that even if the Guardians... any Guardians that you encounter there are not cursed, Guardians don't let anyone into the Grove. Even our eldest Umbral are not allowed in that hallowed place.
I understand. It has been many years since I've been near here, and I can tell that things have changed for the worst. And my companions and I are here to return the woodland to some semblance of normal. We know there is a great threat here, and we have been sent to deal with it before it destroys everything in its path.
All right. Well, I'm not going to stand in your way. Is there anything you would like me to take back to my elder? Let him know. Is there any information that you can give any of us? We've been fighting this malevolence for weeks now, and it has tested us in many ways. More of us have died in the past weeks than in all the previous season.
What we do know is that the force behind this hungers with an impossible hunger that consumes everything, even the souls of those it touches.
That explains why we are rising up and fighting after we are slain. The number of us that have fallen have succumbed to an all-new curse here. And as he says that, you can look at the members of this unit that died, and you can see that they are being wrapped up in what appears to be the kind of garment that one wraps as a corpse that is about to be burned.
This has affected the druids of my circle and has divided them somewhat on whether to honor those who have died.
I can understand that. I shall return to my elder and see if perhaps we can send an emissary to the Grove. Perhaps request some additional aid from your circle and mend any potential animus that has arisen from all of this trouble.
The circle and the umbral have long been friends, and I know we are all stretched thin. Any attempt at reparation would be welcome, I think.
All right. Well, thank you once again. I have to, and he kind of gestures towards his companions, and you can tell that there is a little hesitancy, he's a little bit lost for a moment as he turns, fairly obviously a burden of command upon him, that doing the things that he has to do but doesn't want to do.
It was good to see you again.
Turns back to you and nods. He has kind of a half smile. There's not a lot of joy behind it. But he nods and smiles. Thank you. And you as well. Well met, all of you. I'm sorry that we don't have time. And he just kind of shakes his head, nodding, turns to walk away. When he goes and rejoins the rest of his people, you all stand there for a few moments kind of watching them. You can feel the moroseness that is creeping in upon them. Ysterra, the girl of the twins, stands as her brother approaches, and they seem to have this kind of wordless exchange between them before she looks back towards all of you and seemingly begrudgingly, but not out of any animus to any of you, more so just something that she is uncertain about. She walks forward and she reaches into a pouch and she holds out a hand, and within it you see 5 black cherry-like berries in her hand, and she holds them forward to Maeve, and she says very softly, to the point that it's almost like she doesn't speak very much, and she just kind of holds her hand out and she says, "These help with fear."
Maeve will take her hand in both of Maeve's hands. Thank you.
She just kind of nods and empties the handful of berries into Maeve's hands and turns and walks back away to her companions. The rest of you kind of gather up in a space away from the umbral as you watch them perform not burial rites per se, but almost a lament to their fallen companions before very quickly you see them invoke magic and start to burn the bodies. The rest of you are able to notice very easily that Sai is extremely shaken in this moment. So much so that Sai, being a night warden as they are, is almost oblivious to the burial rituals or the rituals of the dead that are taking place a few dozen feet away.
You gonna lead them on a path?
What?
You know, do your thing.
What's going on up in here? I can see it in your face. What's up?
That I know that voice. I've heard it before. For a long time. It's a creature of shadow, and it feels stronger than it felt before, or different. Sai is just like, doesn't know what else to say.
Can I? Sorry. I want to go over to Sai and kind of like grab their hand and go, can I do something with your permission?
Yeah.
Cool. I want to cast Detect Thoughts because I want to. It can't be verbalized what's going on, but I want to know. So I want to cast Detect Thoughts on Sai in this moment.
All right. Are you going deep, or are you just reading surface thoughts?
No, we're going in. Yeah.
Is Sai going to resist?
Oh man. I think if they knew the implications of what might happen, they would, but I don't think that they can right now.
All right. I would like then for Beth, for you to describe Sai's nightmare that Kettle gets to observe firsthand. And then afterwards, you both will need to make wisdom saving throws.
So, Kettle, immediately upon entering my mind, you feel a wave of grief like you've never felt before. Not just one person's grief, but all of it, and fear, and it sort of fills you to the point of almost feeling like you're choking, and then you're able to see flashes of memory of Sai in a place that's darker than this, and almost dreamlike in itself, but you're in a memory, and you see Sai. They don't quite look the same. Definitely more hollow and fearful, and you watch as they run, and they're chased by this entity that is absolutely massive and horrible, and it lashes out with, I guess, like weapons in your mind, and you feel sadness and fear every time, like lashes, and you see Sai hides for a moment, thinking that they might be safe, and then you see more flashes of this memory continuing, and it happens again and again and again, and eventually they know they're not safe no matter where they try to hide, and the grief is overwhelmed by a hopelessness, but they keep trying again and again, running to new places, and eventually fighting through it all. They come to a place that is unlike anywhere that they've been in this space before, and you're able to pass through a doorway, and you're no longer in this entirely shadow-filled cavern, but it's not a real cavern, and you walk through and you are in this horrible woodland, and you hear fighting, and you see people, one of whom is Maeve, and the memory sort of ends there and sort of starts over again in Sai's mind.
As Kettle kind of relives that nightmare, and it resets, and Kettle feels himself getting pulled back into it. Go ahead and give me the results of your wisdom saving throws, please.
It's a 24.
17.
Okay. Kettle, you are able to finish the reading of Maeve's, or I'm sorry, of Sai's memory, and you pull out from it with the intention of not wanting to relive it a second time as it kind of resets in Sai's mind. And you do that, you have your wits about you, but you're shaken by that experience. Sai, however, you had to relive it too. And Sai latches onto the memory of Maeve rescuing them. And that fills Sai with a sense of confidence once again, the same confidence that was evoked when they unleashed their spell not minutes earlier. And Sai shakes off the fear. The Kettle, you stagger back after having held on to Sai's hand in that moment, bearing witness to this. That all transpired in just seconds for the rest of you. As you see Kettle kind of stagger back a little bit, obviously distraught by what it is that he just saw.
Okay.
You good, Kettle?
Hey, give me a second.
Last time you did this on me, you didn't look this out of breath.
Hey, give me a damn second. Okay. Your strength is ridiculous, and I'm so sorry that you have to relive that in your mind. And that's what spoke to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. Things just got turned up another level. That is... Okay. Fine.
I'm sorry.
No. There's absolutely nothing that you have to apologize for. I'm just reminded of something my dad tells me, and you're already doing it without even knowing. We keep running from our fears, and the one thing we need to do to beat it is to turn around. And you do it every single time. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta take care of this now. Because if this is what's running around and this is what's been bothering you this entire time, we gotta stop this.
I'd like that a lot.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm good. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Yeah. We should move.
Off to Sai's nightmare.
Beth,
Yeah.
you should check your messages. I sent you a couple of tidbits. In the wake of all of that, is there anything in particular that Maeve is doing? Or would like to do?
Maeve just watches this encounter between Sai and Kettle, and sees how far Sai has come in dealing with the trauma and aftermath of this encounter. And she's just really proud of Sai. So she's gonna go over and just take Sai's face in her hands. I'm so proud of you.
It's not it though. It's something and it needs to be dealt with. But that's not it didn't feel like what we're looking for. I feel like creature's too kind to word, but it has a name. It's Ludesis, and I think it also goes by the Shadow Thorn. It said its name a lot. But I don't believe that this is the masked one. I don't know how to find what we need to find for this.
It's okay. Whatever's ahead, we'll face it. We'll face it together. You're not alone this time.
Yeah, I know. It's the only reason I'm in here. Well, we now have 2 horrifying things to contend with, I suppose. I think the mask is more pressing, possibly. I can't really prioritize things right now very well, but we should move, regardless of where we go next.
With our luck, maybe they'll be together and we'll have to face them both.
Yeah, I'll send a moonbeam on him. We'll see what happens.
Worked so
It's
well
not-
last time.
It's like killing one shadowy bear with 2 stones.
Yeah, I guess.
One bear shadow.
Yeah,
My favorite book.
sure.
Right, well, let's move on then.
Yeah.
So in the aftermath of all of that, you catch a glimpse of the umbral still tending to the slowly burning bodies of their fallen companions. There's a somberness to what they're doing and a palpable pain resting in the air from it. Maeve hands out the berries that she had been given. And so as you all consume them, you can feel that frightening presence that had kind of stitched its way into your psyche subside, at least temporarily. The source of it is still unknown, and you can definitely feel the presence of it still all around you in this forest, but what it's been doing to your mind is you are at least in temporary reprieve against. And so, as you leave the battleground behind, the forest feels like it closes in around you with each step that you take. The path forward is always shrouded in darkness, the oppressive atmosphere intensifying as you move deeper and deeper into the woodland. These ancient trees, hundreds of feet tall, some of them, their bark gnarled and twisted, looming around you, their roots sprawling like a network of veins across the forest floor, the whispering winds carrying the ominous sounds howling through the boughs of the trees. The very air feels thick with malevolent intent, and you believe that you are drawing closer to the heart of the corruption as you continue forward, nearing this epicenter of malevolence that is influencing and permeating throughout the woodland. Maeve, you know that you are encroaching upon the eclipsed grove. And part of that knowledge comes not just from the fact that where you're at in these woods, previously a guardian would have turned you away by this point. But you can feel the sacredness of this place, where natural and magical energies seem to converge. This potent location that holds the sway of the magic that keeps the natural or unnatural curses of the forest, the woodland itself, at bay, is so strong here. And Maeve's natural sense of this magic, it's almost dominating her in a way. The only reason that it isn't is that she can feel the corruption here. She can feel it seeping into that power. She can feel it dragging the very life essence out of that powerful magic. And particularly for Maeve, a sense of foreboding settles over you all as you navigate deeper towards this eclipsed grove. And as you take your steps, you're looking around, expecting a threat at any moment, the fear building up within you. Maeve, you take one particular step and you can now know that you have stepped into the grove. There's no distinction in what you see, but the power of it shoots up through your foot and pierces into your very soul. And there's a jarring moment as you almost feel like your soul itself is disjointed from you before you will it back into you. You continue on, pressing forward, all of you, until you behold a jarring sight. The dark eminence of light that seems to permeate this vicinity. Your lanterns kind of magnify in this light around you. The forest still unchanged from the rest of your perspective, but you can feel the power of it growing. And you see a number of magical runes emerging within the space that you walk. And Maeve in particular knows that that should not be happening. These runes are meant to be invisible. They've always been invisible, short of using some of the most powerful magic that you can possibly have access to. You cannot see these wards, but here they sit, floating in the space around, and you can see them now. And they are falling to pieces. You can see the magic of them being undone by some other force that you do not know the source of. And in the distance ahead of you, there is a growing light. And as you move through one of the corners around some of the trees, you see a short halfling figure off in the distance. You believe that to be the Mask Bearer, known to you perhaps as the Hungry One. They stand shrouded in shadow. The malevolence so much stronger here that it distorts the very air around them. They're adorned with the azure demonic mask that you can just make out hints of in the distance that you see them. And each of the wards of the forest woodlands that you know protect against the ancient curse now visible around you, a dozen or more. They're magical essence that was once strong, flickering and crumbling like dying embers in the wind. You also see the guardians, here and there, scattered amongst the trees, frozen, stoic protectors that once kept all creatures from ever reaching this sanctified space. They stand transfixed all around the grove, their forms straining to the breaking point, desperately but seemingly futilely exerting whatever waning power they might have to thwart the encroaching darkness as it slowly shreds the magical wards that they have protected for untold eons. You stand there amongst all of this halfling figure 100 or so feet away from you. What would you like to do?
The first thing that Sai's going to do, while they're standing there, is place a hand on Kettle's shoulder, sort of squeezes it in an acknowledgement of the fear and sadness that he just went through. And as I touch your shoulder, I'm gonna cast Death Ward on you.
Definitely feel that with my arcane knowledge and scope. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah.
One thing we might also want to resolve real quick, since you had opportunity, but I may not have given you enough opportunity to do that, you could have used magic or potions or the like to have healed yourselves, because some of you are quite injured before you reach this point. So if you wanted to go and do that now, I would be okay with that.
I will definitely take your gracious gift.
I'm not saying you would have done a short rest, because I don't think any of you would have been willing to like sit down and wait. But if you have potions and or spells to cast on yourselves or each other, you could go ahead and do that, because I know a couple of you are quite injured.
Some of us took no damage.
Some of you were smart enough to move behind the creature and stab it in the back.
It's what rogues are good at.
I was resistant to that necrotic damage, so it didn't harm me nearly as much.
Oh, that's good.
But I can do a cure wounds on anybody who needs it.
I mean, it sounds like you don't need it after saying that. I think that you all should just... Kidding. Go.
I'll take
Who's
that
doing
cure
what to
wounds.
heal?
I'm
I
gonna
used a potion of
use
greater
greater healing. Okay. I used healing hands on myself, so I'll get 11 hit points.
I will just do a first level healing word on myself.
And Karnak just stands there and looks pretty.
Well, that was pretty good. I mean, you know, if this doesn't work out, you could draw Impressionist.
Everyone healed up to the point that they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me just
So-
brush a little
an
dirt off from the
actual
last
yeah?
scuffle.
Is that an actual Ian?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay. So
We're in
after
it.
Sai finishes casting the Death Ward, what would you all like to do?
Maeve is gonna call out and just say,
Whoa! Hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Let's prepare for this. Don't just show your presence immediately.
just gonna talk to him, it's fine.
Let
No,
me sneak
no.
around, for God's sakes. Let him know.
That's
we
actually
need
the smartest thing he said today. Like,
Thank you. Wait, now hold on.
yeah.
You know, I'll just take the compliment. Anyway, I mean, or we could do the little, like, brew tea thing. I don't know how long that takes.
Okay, what we don't need. That's not going to work. What is your plan? To just talk to it and then we just see what comes.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever you.
When has a
Sounds
plan
like
ever
we
worked
need
the
that.
way we wanted it to anyway?
We can at
Well,
least
I
try.
mean- I mean, if you just derail the plans like you did last time, I'm gonna distract them.
You're gonna go feral again.
It was a distraction. I just am.
Okay,
Fine,
here, let
you
me do,
can talk to him. I'm gonna sneak around, all right? At least
Right.
we'll
You can
have
do your
someone in the
sneaking.
back.
do your sneaking before we start speaking to anybody. Let me rifles through his bag. Let me something or anything.
Something
so
or
these
anything.
rooms. Yeah,
That's great.
these rooms that are lit in this forest tunnel here, right?
Yeah, that's just an example of some of kind of what you see. There's more than a dozen of them floating around all of you.
Got it. And based on your description, this should not be happening. Like, we should
Oh.
not see this.
I mean, as far as Kettle is concerned, he doesn't know that he shouldn't see that. That's something that only Maeve would realistically know, but he does recognize that the magic of the runes is being slowly unraveled.
Okay.
And he also has heard the wards being described as runes, and so he would assume that these are the wards that are ostensibly supposed to be protecting the rest of the world from the forest.
Okay. I'd like to use detect magic to hopefully in some form pinpoint the draining source. Unless it's super obvious and you're going to tell me that it's the person across the tunnel.
Yeah, so you go ahead and cast Detect Magic, and as you do so, your eyes glow with an arcane violet and white light, and you look about and you can see these tendrils of arcane energy that seem to be coming from the halfling figure to various places all around. And it's very obvious to you at that moment that it is the source. As Karnak kind of steps to the side to begin his slinking movement to get away around, to find a way, or that is around the other side of this creature, the air grows colder, heavier, and from the shadows, a figure of nightmares emerges. One that Sai and now Kettle recognizes. Towering 15 or more feet, its form is a haunting spectacle almost of swirling smoke and ashen shadow. Long, sinewy limbs reminiscent of dark, twisted wings almost undulate with a chilling presence. And those of you that understand the realms of planar magic and entities from beyond the planes can see this shadowy archfey, its eyes glowing with a cold, dark luminescence fixed upon all of you, piercing through the gloom as it moves. An aura of oppressive dread and turmoil descends upon you, and this immediate manifestation of its dominion over despair and shadow is physically perceivable in its presence. The air thickens with sorrow, and it's as if the very essence of grief and pain have taken physical form in front of you. And you hear in that same whispered voice that you heard cackling before, "Sigh, you have brought me my greatest wish in seeing you again. I shall relish the torment of breaking your soul once and for all." And I'd like for all of you to roll initiative, please.
I was just about to say Sai sends out some magic, so this is good. Fucking balls.
Guessing you didn't roll that well, Sai?
It's an 8.
Oh, womp womp.
Womp.
I might re-roll that. That is abysmal.
13 for Maeve.
1 second.
Also, you guys, I just wanted to talk first.
I can use my lucky for an initiative roll, right?
You can.
Okay, thank God.
Okay, so what did Maeve get?
13.
And Sai?
8.
And Kettle?
I got a natural 20 for a 21.
Nice.
No,
And,
it's not.
Okay.
And Karnak.
16.
Okay. Cool. So, Kettle, you do not get to go first,
Womp womp.
unfortunately.
That's even worse.
This shadowy, malevolent entity in front of you, you guys are mere feet away from it as it seemed to just manifest out of the unnatural shadows of the woodland and appear before you. It pulls back a hand and swings it towards all of you, and these shards of almost like crystalline shadow fly away from it. And I get to roll an attack roll against each of you. So we will go ahead and start with Karnak. That is a 31 to hit. Sai is a 25 to hit. Maeve is a 24. And Kettle is a, oh, that's low, 19. I'm assuming everyone gets hit because you don't have a reaction
we
yet,
get
Kettle, to
hit.
do a shield spell or anything like that.
We don't have a reaction yet?
Well, you have, no one has taken their turn yet, so you don't get your reaction in the first
God.
round until you have taken your turn. And so each of you only takes 12 points of necrotic damage. I'm sorry, not necrotic, psychic damage. And then I need for each of you to please roll a charisma saving throw.
Okay.
Charisma.
11.
Fail. Your DC, by the way, is 20.
20.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
On the dot.
never mind. So what happens now, Miko?
Yeah, I failed too. Ain't no way I'm getting that.
What did Sai get?
I rolled a 16 plus 4 for a dirty 20.
Nice. So Sai is the only one that succeeds. The rest of you have disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws until the end of your next turn.
Okay.
And that is it for its turn for now. It is now Kettle's turn.
Yay. This well, it's till our next turn.
Fuck it up, Kettle.
Yeah, we're just gonna try something crazy because we're having fun. Gosh, I don't know if this would even be smart, but I'm gonna do it. It's the finale. I would like to cast reduce on this otherworldly being.
Okay. What is the range on that?
The range on it is 30 feet, but I got my spell
Okay.
sniper, so it doubles, so it's 60 feet.
Cool. I'm assuming there is a saving throw attached to reduce.
Yeah, it's a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. What is my DC? You know
it's,
what?
It's a cool 16.
Doesn't matter. So I rolled a natural 1. That's a failure. However, because I don't like the idea, I like this creature maintaining its physical massiveness. I'm going to use one of its legendary resistances, of all things, to resist a reduce spell.
Hey man, we're gonna burn those legendaries.
Yeah.
Do it while we
That was
can.
a sick move. Oh my god.
One
I
short
think
king to another.
almost any
enormous.
other creature, I would just be like, yeah, sure, it works. But, like, come on. Big bad? You can't shrink him.
I mean, hey, that's why I said I don't know if this is gonna work, but we're gonna do it. Cool. And then after that, I'm gonna look at everybody and go, "Oh man, it was just so close."
Yeah, you guys see Kettle evoke this magic, and he like takes both of his hands and he starts to do this, like bringing them together slowly, and the creature's form, like it starts writhing and fighting against it, and you can see it slowly diminishing in size before it just like and then shatters these what were invisible but become visible as they shatter arcane motes of energy that had been trying to constrain it, as it just shatters them around it, and its malevolent gaze fixates upon Kettle.
Sorry.
Do you have
That's
anything else that you would like to do?
Not this go around. I'm good.
Okay. At the end of your turn, I'm going to use one of its legendary actions. I would like Ian, Kettle needs to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
It was a 22.
22. You do succeed,
Yeah.
so you are going to only take half damage from this. So let me just roll that real quick.
That'll be 67 points of damage.
Nope. So I rolled a 19, so you take half of that, so 9 points of psychic damage, as it holds one of its clawed hands out in front of it and seems to just like grip the air and then yank away. You feel where your shadow normally is behind you. You feel this pull of energy as if your mind is being ripped away from you, and the rest of you can kind of see this shadowy pulse of power as a claw emerges from the shadows behind Kettle, grabbing on to seemingly nothingness and yanking him, and he physically responds to it, even though like he feels all of that power in his mind. It's almost like he willfully pulls himself back in reaction to this yanking of power from his psyche. And yeah, thank you for that. You hear it scream out, "Shrink me, you," as it just yanks back. And so then the lair gets to go. So you guys are still looking around, even though your gaze is obviously upon this creature, and off to the side you see one of the runes shatter around you, or in that vicinity, kind of just dissolve into nothingness, and the motes of it falling to the ground. when that happens, there's this palpable wave that erupts away from it. And you can see a number of the trees and plant life in that vicinity wither and die around it. And that is going to bring us to Karnak.
Let's fucking go.
So the first question I have is, what is the halfling mask bearer doing in the back? Like, this whole thing started...
Seems to be oblivious to this. It has not moved at all.
Okay. Karnak is going to, put his finger to his mouth and go shh. And he's going to cast silence on the shadow creature.
Okay. Can you cast silence on a creature, or is it on an area or an object?
It's going to be the point. It's going to be the point that he's centered on.
Okay, and what's the radius? What's the radius of it? 20 foot?
20 feet.
Yeah, I'll say that the creature is just slightly more than 20 feet away from all of you, and so if you drop this silence spell, there is a moment of like physical manifestation as the silence around it grows, and you all immediately get a sense of reprieve from the dread as the silence kicks in and the whispers that you had been hearing since entering the forest are shut out.
Good move.
And then I'm going to draw my moonlit short sword and blink behind him with Shadow Step with my bonus action. And that'll be my turn.
Okay. So you appear behind the creature. It is going to take a legendary action at the end of your turn as it turns to face you. You can't hear what it says, obviously, but there is an implied sense of it trying to say something as it reaches its hand back and tries to bitch slap you. That is a 23 to hit. You take...
That hits.
Yeah. You take 15 points of slashing damage and 4 points of psychic damage. As you feel its claws rake across, as Karnak feels its claws rake across him, there is a scream inside of Karnak's mind. And he can, he gets a little bit of a nosebleed from the pain in his head that erupts. And that brings us to Maeve.
Banishment.
All right.
Get out of my head.
That's a charisma saving throw, if I recall.
It is a charisma save of 16, please.
Charisma
Use
is
up
actually
those legendary
not...
reaction.
Yeah, it's not his best save. I got a 12. But I am going to use a legendary resistance.
Figured that was coming.
Churning through them quickly. I'm shocked, guys. That's 2 in the first round of combat, and not even all of you have acted yet. So what does this look like, Deb, as Maeve attempts to banish this creature, and then it willfully fights against it?
I think some of the plants nearby come and try to grab onto it and pull it through the ground back to its plane.
Nice. Yeah, so it is surrounded, it just emanates shadows, right? You know that this creature is of the plane of shadow, and there's a moment where Maeve's magic manifests a terror in the shadow, and these plants, these vines just rip up from the ground and bind onto its arms and slowly start dragging it into the rift before it rises itself up and shatters throws the vines off, tearing and breaking at them before brushing a hand across the rift. And if it wasn't silenced, it would be able to say something cool. Is that it for Maeve's turn?
That's it for me.
Okay.
I've taken his snarky villain and shut it up.
You did. I have lines. I have written things.
Tier.
That's a line right there. I have lines.
And I can't use a
Can't
single
wait
one
to
of
hear
them.
him when it's all done.
Yep. So at the end of Maeve's turn, it will use its last legendary action for the turn. And no, actually, no, it won't, because that would require a verbal spell component.
Aww.
And I can't use the same legendary action twice in a row. So he can't actually attack
Womp womp.
Karnak.
Shoot.
So I can still use its third legendary action. So you all see the shadows that are kind of wafting away from it at its lower extremities. We won't call them feet because you can't actually see legs and feet. But the shadows that waft off of its lower extremities kind of surge up through it. And wherever they surge up, you can see this like pulsing of arcane light that just pulses for a moment and then vanishes, and it seems to have some renewed vigor. And
Was that like a healing spell?
It wasn't a healing. It wasn't a spell, very obviously, and it didn't seem to. It hasn't taken damage or anything, so there wasn't any notion of like it healing from injury, as much as it's just bolstered.
Cool.
And that will bring us to Sai.
Sai will take a few steps forward and
Assuming
summon
right at the edge
all-
of the silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if you want to,
and-
you could step into the silence. I'm fine with that.
I mean, maybe after this turn, we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Sounds good.
They'll step up and just shoot as much radiant energy from them as they have the capacity to do, and I'm gonna do another guiding bolt at 5th level, and hope for the best. That's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20 is exactly enough to hit it.
Okay, that's fun. So that's 25 points of radiant damage. I'm going to slap another one of my divine strikes in there for another 8 points of radiant damage, and the next attack made against it will be at advantage.
So would you like to describe what this looks like as Sai's radiant bolt slams into this creature?
Yeah, so normally when Sai casts this spell and draws this magic from them, it's not really visible until it comes from their fingertips, and even then it's sort of muted, kind of like moonlight. But this is electric. You can see their entire form lights up with this moonlight, and the energy that pulses forward, it looks like it like stops and starts as it makes its way to it and just smashes it directly in the chest.
Okay. And as the radiant light slams it into the chest, you can see all of that shadow that had bolstered it just vanishes across its form, like dissipates against the light, as if just being completely obliterated by the radiance, and a surge of radiant energy is still like lingering in its chest, and it recoils backwards as if like punched in the chest by an immense power. And its eyes go wide for a moment as it looks at Sai, and I can't say the line.
I'll say though, you don't own me anymore.
And it can't hear you, but it's great that you say that.
Ah, fucking balls! That was for me. That was for me.
That was definitely for Sai.
I mean, it works both ways.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Everybody
That's
behind you's
fine.
like,
Yeah.
You know what? They can understand the look in my eye.
Karnak's doing
It's
like a
big
golf
fuck you,
clap.
man.
Karnak didn't hear it either. Karnak's in the area of silence as well.
Oh,
Yeah, but I'm sure the creature had to turn around to look at her when she said that. And he's just kind of like,
So yes, the next attack against this shadowy entity, Ludesis, has advantage. Is at the end of Sai's turn.
Can I, like, get to a position where I can see past this mofo and to the mask bearer?
Sure.
Are we able to see?
Yeah.
Okay, I just
that's
want to
reasonable.
be able to keep eyes on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
But that's it.
Okay. So at the end of the round, since Sai did in fact position themselves to see the mask bearers clearly as possible, I will say that Sai does see the mask bearer standing there, and emerging from the side of them, like 20-30 feet away from them, almost violently, you see a tree-like entity similar to the guardian that you had fought, just as large but without the curse, surges forward, leaping the 20-30 foot distance, a roar kind of emanating from them, leaping across that distance to slam into the mask bearer, and the mask bearer simply holds up a hand and they disintegrate into nothingness. And that brings us back to the top of the round. So at the top of the round, it is this shadow entity's turn. Being the massively intelligent being that it is, it knows that it is in an area of silence and doesn't want that to be anymore. So it moves away from Karnak towards the rest of you. Karnak can do an opportunity attack against it if he wishes.
that he does with his moon touch short sword.
You do have advantage on the strike.
I mean, I also have advantage from Shadow Step.
Well, unfortunately, there is no distinguishing for the radiant energy from the guiding bolt, so you're going to consume it regardless.
Right. So we're rolling that one, or yeah, we're taking the first one. 23 to hit.
That does hit. Don't forget, in D&D Beyond, you can actually right-click a thing that you're rolling and then get a submenu for advantage, so that it's just one thing. You don't have to keep track.
That's some good damage. So 10 points of piercing damage, and then would I be able to use sneak attack?
No, none of your allies are close enough to be providing that benefit at the moment. Oh wait, you had advantage on it. Yes, you do get sneak attack.
Advantage.
Yep, because you had advantage on the strike, you do get sneak attack. I almost forgot
Sneak attack. Oh, okay, and 11 points of damage from the sneak attack.
Nice. So yeah, you slash into the creature. You don't have any special odd weird things like Sentinel that prevents its movement from continuing or the like?
No, and the only thing I was going for is the moonlit short sword is bright light, so I didn't know if that was going to do anything or not.
The bright light from the moonlit sword is barely able to actually illuminate anything in the presence of this entity of pure and manifesting shadow.
Fantastic.
being an archfey that controls shadow, light is not exactly a thing that is very strong against it. And so then it does continue its movement. It kind of moves past Sai a little bit to get out of the bubble of silence. And it's now essentially standing with its massive size among all three of you, Sai, Maeve, and Kettle, its reach very obvious to the lot of you as it stands basically among you. Once it emerges from the area of the silence, the whispers return, now stronger than they ever were, and it is focused intently upon Sai. It extends a hand over top of Sai as if it intends to just reach down and crush Sai with its massive arm. However, Sai knows that that's not what it's actually doing, as the hand kind of lingers over top of Sai for a moment, and this lash of pure shadowy energy just fills the entire space that Sai occupies, so much so that the rest of you can't even see Sai for the blink of the moment that this just emulsion of shadowy power covers them entirely. Sai, I need for you to please make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
Is this a spell?
It is not a spell.
It's a 27.
Go back in my corner now. She's got it.
You succeed. So you are only going to take half of this damage. So what would have been 36 becomes 18 points of psychic damage. And being resilient as Sai is and understanding this as they do, you do not suffer any additional ill effect from it.
Okay.
But then it's also going to rake a claw in the direction of Kettle, because it can do that as well. That is a 29 to hit.
Shield.
Does that help?
Hold on. God, I hope so.
I don't think it's gonna help.
What was
buddy.
it?
29. 29 to hit.
Is these damn AirPods, dude? They keep crackling. I thought you said like not 29. Okay,
Nope.
Let's give it. Let's take the juicy damage. Let's go.
That is 9 points of slashing damage and 5 points of psychic damage.
Got it.
Oh, Monster Kitty trying to talk into the mic. Yeah, the claw rakes across Kettle's body. He can feel that pain in his mind, that agony as its claw connects with him. And that brings us to Kettle Portsmouth.
Okay. Hurt real bad. You guys. Oh no. Great. So. Yeah, we'll just do this to see how this works. I'm going to cast another fire bolt at it.
You are
So again,
technically
can
in
you-
melee with it. Just pointing
am.
that out. You would be at disadvantage on that strike if you used Firebolt.
You want the
Get out of there, Kettle.
Maeve, are you growing a beard? You look so furry.
All right, cool. We'll do this. I'm going to. So the shadow creature is in front of us. Behind us is the mass bear, correct? And that's where.
Yeah, so behind the Shadow Bearer is the big area of silence with it. Karnak is standing in the middle of, and then about 60 or so feet beyond that is the Mask Bearer.
Okay, great. This helps me none. It's good. Oh, jeez.
You could back away from it.
Yeah, I could. That's what I'm thinking. But
You know,
then
like
getting out of
20
its
feet
melee
away
range-
from it.
Yeah, well, yeah, but then it provides an opportunity attack because I'm coming out of his melee, right? So
Don't
wait,
you have
unless
Misty Step or something?
I was about to say, unless bonus action Misty Step, want to back up about
30 feet.
Yeah, 30 feet. Yeah.
Okay. So it is still going to use its reaction. This is a counterspell-like effect, but instead of it being it's actually counterspelling your spell, because of the nature of the spell and its sheer control of shadow, you need to make a spellcaster ability check to see if you are able to actually manifest it.
Okay.
Your DC in this case, what level spell is that? It's a second level spell, right? Your DC in this case is 14.
Okay. And it was a D20 plus my modifier?
Spellcaster ability check, so a D20 plus your intelligence modifier.
Got it. So it's 14 on the die, plus 8.
That's you don't have a plus 8 intelligence. That's your saving throw, but yeah, you're fine though.
Plus
either
4.
way, you're fine.
18. Yeah.
So Kettle feels like he starts to cast this spell and he feels resistance to summoning the shadow magic that is necessary to evoke this particular spell, and he almost has to will it to happen, as opposed to like the normalcy of his kind of arcane magic, where he just, does the exact movements and says the exact arcane phrases and uses the materials of it in just the right way, and it just works. In this instance, he almost has to will it to actually succeed, and he does complete the spell. And there's a moment where he's done this spell so many times before, right? There's a moment where he disappears and finds himself in a void of darkness, conscious for what seems like minutes. And then he disjointedly steps back out from his shadow and appears where he wanted to, with seemingly no time having passed outside of that. But it is still disorienting to him nonetheless.
Okay.
That was your bonus action.
Ooh. Yeah. So, with my action, I'm going to throw a firebolt at him.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your attack roll.
I am so excited. That's a nat 20 for 30.
Nice. So natural 20 will definitely succeed and hit as expected. So your normal damage on that at this level is 3d10, if I recall. So because of my homebrew damage rules, you're going to roll 3d10 and add 30.
Let's go.
Because it would be your normal maximum damage would be 30, and so you get to take your maximum damage and you get to add your dice.
It's 49 points of damage altogether.
Nice. So. This describe what this firebolt looks like as it rips through the air and just wails upon this shadowy archfey.
It's I guess coming out of the disorienting feeling of the Misty Step and shaking and what's going on, I think it's a mixture of we need to finish this, but I'm also very afraid. Takes out another one of those billets that he used before, and this time it just pulsates and glows with not radiant energy, but like fire energy. And because the beast is so tall, he chucks it like as if it was a fly ball that needs to go back in, and it kind of arcs and then just zooms down on like the shadow creature.
Nice. So as this arc of fire courses through the air, it seems to burn the shadows around it, and they almost kind of move. The shadows themselves, seemingly alive, kind of move away from the fire, recoiling against the power of it as it arcs through the air like a bolt from a catapult or something. or like a ball from a catapult, and it slams down on top of this creature, completely engulfing its head and shoulders in fire. There is a yell of pain and agony from it as its shadow is added to with soot and ash and smoke from the fire and the burning around it, and it roils a hand above it to kind of waft all of that out of the way, and it looks at Kettle and it screams, "You dare!" And
Uh-oh.
So he dares.
yeah, he does. At the at the end of Kettle's turn, it is going to use a legendary action, and because I'm out of that, it is going to cast a spell. Ian?
Yeah, I have a counter spell that.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an Arcana check for me.
Absolutely. It's a 25.
25. Kettle knows magic. He knows it, fundamentally. He is a brilliant, brilliant mind and knows at least of every spell in the book, so to speak, even if he can't necessarily manifest them himself. He is very well studied. This is a spell from planar existence that he has never seen before. He knows fundamentally that this creature is evoking not just the power of evocation, like the raw, purest form of evocation, but he seems to be summoning and twisting all forms of elemental magic at once as he is casting this spell. You know, though, that it is a 6th level spell. So, what level spell slot would you like to use to attempt to counterspell this?
Jeez. Well, I'm gonna attempt to use 4th level because I got some juice in the 5th. I don't want to use that yet.
Okay. So again, homebrew rules. My counterspell works differently from the standard home game. You get to roll a spellcaster ability check. You get to add your proficiency bonus, and you get to add the level of the spell slot that you are using to dispel. So your proficiency bonus is 3 at this level, or 4?
It's 4.
Yeah, and your intelligence modifier is
Also
4, and you used a 4th level spell slot, so you're basically rolling a d20 plus 12, and in this case, because it is a 6th level spell, your target number is 19.
$24. 12 on the die plus 12.
Nice. So all of you see it hold out its hand towards Kettle, and this bolt, it's almost like a lightning bolt, but it's made of the purest shadow that you can never unsee as it rips through the air. And when I say rip, it actually physically is ripping the space of air in between Kettle and it. The tear in planar reality almost that is manifesting as it arcs through, flying at Kettle, before you see Kettle hold up both of his hands and tearing through an arcane spell of his own, seemingly undoing all of the magic of shadow before it can consume him, and it like dissipates in front of his hands, inches away from his face, as Kettle stands there breathing heavily, knowing that he was about to be annihilated by this magic.
That was almost it. I already felt it.
After that, you see Maeve in particular. Anguish fills Maeve's mind as she looks over and sees another one of the runes shatter to pieces. And I think in this moment, Maeve understands that This creature's here for a reason, and it may not necessarily be Sai, because otherwise it would have focused its entire being upon Sai. It's delaying you. That's all it's trying to do. It is trying to kill all of you, right? But as from what you know of this entity, if it was trying to do what you thought it would do if you ever encountered it, it would be going after Sai with the purest and utmost hatred that it could possibly manifest. And it's not. It's holding you back, stopping you from stopping whatever the rupturing of magic is that is causing the wards to go to diminish. And that brings us to Karnak.
Does Karnak have enough insight to garner what she just did, or no?
I don't think so. That's something specific that only Sai and Maeve would know. I would give Kettle a roll for it because he saw Sai's nightmares, but I don't think that is within Karnak's knowledge. I'll also do something else for you, Karnak, or Aaron. I will say that Karnak is astute enough because of his practice with using silence effectively that he would also not necessarily have casted silence in the area. He would have casted it upon an object in that area. Because when you cast silence on an object, you can pick it up and it moves with the object.
I thought that was darkness only.
Giving you this in this instance because of your understanding of things.
Gotcha. Cool. So, I guess we'll say a small pebble that was nearby.
A
Or
pine
rock.
cone.
Pine cone. Sure, pine cone. That works. So I don't know that information yet. So I guess what Karnak will do is he'll pick up the pine cone nearby, and he is still interested in the halfling. Whether he knows what Maeve knows, he is still interested in why the halfling hasn't done anything. So he is going to, instead of loading a bolt, could he shoot the pine cone at a point on the ground with his little hand crossbow? I know it's not designed to be loaded into a crossbow bolt, but he doesn't have to be precise. He just has to get it there. And I don't know if he could throw it. Other than that, he could shadow step, but...
I think Karnak, in this instance, you'd be better served throwing because the range on your wrist crossbow is actually not very far.
It's like 30 feet.
For a max range, right?
Oh, I thought it was 120 for a max range.
Well, you tell me. What does it say?
Yeah, it says 30/120.
Okay. You're at disadvantage to do it, but you can try.
Would I be not at disadvantage if I throw it?
No, I think you'd probably still be at disadvantage if you throw it. Either way. I had been mistaken on what I thought your limitations on the range of the crossbow were. I will say you have to move a little bit closer to the halfling in order to be, because I'm giving you a range penalty on, the max that you can do with it. But if you move a little bit closer, since you had already, in essence, moved closer to the halfling anyway, I'll give it to you. You just have to roll at disadvantage, and hope that you hope you don't roll very, very badly.
Okay. And I'm shooting this towards the shadow, right? Not the halfling?
I thought you said you were shooting it towards the halfling.
No, I said I don't understand the whole...
Oh,
you
can just chuck it. It's like 20 feet away from you. You could just chuck it
at
at
the shadow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you had said you were interested in halfling. I thought you were chucking it at the halfling.
Yeah, that's gonna do like part of my action. I'm still gonna try and do something with the halfling.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll just throw the pine cone
at the feet of the shadow creature.
Yeah. Well, how close is Maeve and Sai to this thing still?
The Kettle's the only one that's not near the shadow creature. Maeve and Sai are basically standing right next to it. There's virtually no way that you can get it and not them.
Okay. Well, I'll just throw it at their feet and hope they understand to just back off when it comes their turn.
Well, when the pine cone does land at the creature's feet, it does encompass silence for all of you. Sai and Maeve, once again, you don't hear anything. Particularly, you don't hear the malevolent voices any longer. You know that you're within the area of the silence now. And I'll say, I'll be nice and say that was your bonus action if you want, unless you want it to be your action so you can use your bonus action for something else. It's up to you, Aaron.
We can use it as a bonus action, and then I'm gonna shoot the halfling with the hand crossbow, not getting near it because I probably did notice the tree get obliterated. So we're gonna gauge its strength a little bit more.
All right, you are at disadvantage to hit it because of range.
Okay, and if I can say it had a little bit of poison on it, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
I don't know how much it's gonna do for me, but maybe some pseudo dragon poison to do it right. Wake up in the morning, get your pseudo dragon poison. Let's see here. You said you click on it and then right click.
You right click on the box with the number in it. That gives you a menu, and you can click advantage and roll.
Oh, that didn't work. Okay, that's fine. Well, that's probably going to be the roll. And then I'll roll another one with the actual modifier on it.
Not custom rolls, dude. There you go.
I know.
Oh, natural 20 and a 5.
Yeah, and a 5. Yeah, so the 5 is going to be a 13 to hit.
Unfortunately, not enough. Your poisoned bolt goes wide, and does not strike true upon the halfling. It doesn't seem to notice that you did it, though. If that's any consolation.
Notice.
It didn't seem to look in your direction at all. It seems to be fixated on whatever it's doing at that far distance, and isn't really paying attention to Karnak in this moment. And the bolt didn't come close enough for it to particularly notice. So,
can I move towards it?
If you want. Do you want to?
I mean, yeah. I'm not going to get as close as the tree did, but I'll go up to it at least. I mean.
Okay. What's Karnak's speed?
45 feet.
All right. I'll say that you close to within about 40 feet of it.
Okay. All right.
Doesn't seem to react.
All right. Well, next turn it's going to react for sure.
So at the end of Karnak's turn, the shadowy creature will use its use a legendary action, and it will attack Sai with a claw. That is going to be a 17 to hit. I rolled low.
Misses.
You have a shield, right?
Fuck off. Yeah, I've got a shield, so my AC is 18.
Yeah, you hold the shield up, and its claw slams down upon the shield and rakes, just rending the shield with the heavy, deep scratches from the claw. And you say "fuck off," but no one hears it because you're back in the silence.
It's fine. I feel it.
You feel it. You do feel it. And it is Maeve's turn.
Finally. Do I know that I'm in the silence? I can.
Yes.
Yes, because the voices went away. All right.
All sound went away.
Perfect. I have a ring of subtlety, so I can cast a spell without using verbal components.
You do.
I am going to cast Dispel Evil and Good.
Okay.
Fuck, I rolled so badly. That was only a 12, and I don't think that hits.
That does not hit.
God damn it. All right, well, I guess I'll just move out of the silence, I guess.
Okay. Here. It does not have its reaction back. So it cannot strike you as you move out of the silence. The question is, are you moving backwards towards Kettle or forwards towards the halfling? Towards the hungry one?
I will move towards the hungry one.
Okay. You get about 10 feet out of the aura of silence, and you can hear everything again, but the whispers are still not present because the Ludessus is still within the silence, and you can see Karnak ahead of you, also closing the distance with the mask bearer. At the end of your turn, the creature, or Ludessus, summons forth once again some bolstering shadows across its body with its last legendary action, and that makes it Sai's turn.
What about, doesn't Kettle go before me? No? Am I wrong?
Kettle
Doesn't matter.
went, he went right after the creature did. Kettle did his shadowy step backwards and almost got lost in the void, and then blasted it, lobbing a firebomb on top of its head. That was all this turn.
Didn't realize it was still this round. Yeah, okay. So I see Maeve moving out of this spell range. I feel it. I don't want to be in here. I'm also going to move in the same direction that Maeve was heading, out of this, space.
Mm-hmm.
Have I seen, do I see that they're casting spells at the mask bearer?
No one has casted a spell at the mask bearer yet.
Ah, balls. Okay.
You did see Maeve attempt to evoke a spell at Ludessus, and it just missed wildly.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna do another good old bit of radiant magic against Ludessus.
You're gonna have to move because you're in the area of silence.
Yeah, that's what I intended to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to move closer to Kettle, closer to the mask bearer, or away from both of them?
Closer to the mask bearer.
Okay. So you go charging forward. You get just out of the area of the silence spell when you hear sound once again and know that you can evoke magic. You turn back. It's another guiding bolt, I assume.
It is. I was conflicted, but I'm gonna go for Ludessus again.
Yep.
25 to hit.
Or you throw a hand backwards and unleash this spectral bolt of radiant energy that flies through the air and slams into Ludessus. What's the damage?
21 points of damage with the divine strike added for another 8. So 29
total, right? And this is all radiant. So yes, as you slam into this creature, you can see the shadows that it had summoned to bolster it just getting obliterated once again by the radiant light, and the remaining damage that the shadows could not absorb just tears into Ludessus viciously. You can see that it is in pain and agony as it is glowing with radiant light from the magic of it. And even though you can't hear it, you can tell that it is crying out in pain and agony.
Good. That will end my turn.
All right. That brings us back to the top of the round. The mask bearer does not seem to respond to any of you yet, and there is no movement from any of the guardians or anything like that. However, Ludessus is furious and surges forward to attack Sai. As he does so, they basically charge forward both arms stretched out, and then the moment that its head escapes the area of silence, all of you can hear this almost deafening scream of despair, and its tendrils and its strange wing-like tendrils and its two arms with claws outstretched go to wrap around Sai. Sai, you can feel the shadows closing in upon your psyche. I need for you to make another wisdom saving throw, please. DC is 20.
It's a 13.
Oof.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
You suffer the shattered shadow.
Dude.
You take 44 points of psychic damage. And
Okay.
in this moment, you are completely frozen in your space, unable to act. You're unaware of everything going on around you. You are effectively blinded and incapacitated until the end of your next turn.
Brutal. All right.
And that ends its turn, bringing us to Kettle. Kettle, you see this, you hear this, and as far as you can tell, this creature has Sai bound in a writhing pillar of shadow.
Okay. Okay. Previously, when I did my Arcana check in the beginning of this, I saw that the tendrils that were messing with the runes were coming from the Max Bear, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Kettle's going to, even though seeing Sai in that position, like we need to do something major. I'm going to cast Dispel Magic on the Mass Bearer at 4th level.
What's the range on Dispel Magic?
120.
Okay. You have to kind of maneuver yourself around because you do have to get closer, but the silence is kind of in the way, so you have to kind of move yourself around the edges of it to get close enough, but you are able to do that.
Well, so to get close enough to meet the distance, because if that's
Yes.
the case, Spell Sniper 240
Spell Sniper only applies to spells that have a
damage
attack.
Damn. Yeah.
An attack roll.
Okay.
But
Then
you're
I'll
still
take
able
move.
to do this.
Yeah.
And so as you go and do this, what level spell slot are you using to cast your Dispel Magic?
4th.
Okay. You need to roll a spellcaster ability check. Your intention here is to disrupt the ritual that is going on. So you need to roll your Dispel Magic check, and you do get to add the same bonus that you had before with your counterspell, so a total of 12 to your roll. And I will tell you, you need to roll high.
But it's
I
not
got
impossible.
25 total.
Okay. Just so you know, your DC was 22.
13 on the die plus 12. Let's go, baby. Hopefully we do something.
Way to go. Kettle's shredding it out here. This
So
is
the
good.
rest of you see as Kettle, you don't see Kettle doing this, right? The rest of you are kind of fixated. Well, obviously Sai can't see anything, but Maeve and Karnak see the Mask Bearer, and there is all of a sudden a number of arcane runes that appear around the Mask Bearer that seem to have tendrils of energy attached to them. And Kettle, from the Dispel Magic from before, knows those tendrils, and he's attempting to undo them in this moment. And as he puts his own runes of power, runes of arcane energy upon each tendril. Each tendril evaporates to nothing, one at a time, almost like popping around the mask bearer. And as he finishes the last of the tendrils, there's a burst of arcane energy. And for Maeve, who bore witness to the last encounter with the previous mask bearer, Maeve can see in this moment a manifestation of the spirit of the mask. Like the spirit, the fiendish spirit that she saw when they encountered the golden one previously at the heart of the ascendancy, she sees the hungry one now. She sees this azure demonic form momentarily rising in the space above the halfling, and she sees it take form. And she can't hear it. None of you can hear it. But you all see this fiendish form writhing and screaming into the heavens. And there is no sky for you to see the source of where this comes from, but a pillar of divine radiance comes down from the heavens and slams into this divine entity. And it begins to disintegrate into nothingness. You see the halfling form crumple to the ground. Still too far distant to really see any effects upon it. Even Karnak, who's only 40 feet away, is such a small form. It was encased in shadow. It was wearing heavy clothing, bulky of some kind. You just see the crumpled form land upon the ground as this radiance, this column of ascendant power disappears. Does Maeve have religion or history as a proficiency?
Religion.
Okay. Maeve knows that the primary tenet of all ascendants is to protect from other planar creatures. And whatever Kettle just did alerted the presence of the mask bearer to one or more of the ascendant in that moment. And so, at the end of Kettle's turn, there is no longer a lair action to happen. The runes stay strong. No more of them disappear. But the shadowed one, Odysseus, can still take a legendary action. And now standing outside of the area of the silence spell, you all hear screams from Sai. Unearthly screams. Sai, you do not get a save against this because of your current situation. You take 45 points of damage, psychic damage. How much health does Sai have left?
None. I'm down.
The screams are instantly cut short. A howl ringing out. You can't see Sai. They are wreathed in this shadow. You cannot see their form, but you know in that moment with the unearthly screams instantly just stopping, Sai is no more.
Can I use my stay death reaction?
Can't see Sai.
Fuck.
Even
Thanks, Mom.
Damn, there's nothing I could do anyway.
Maybe
it's a magical darkness.
Yeah, unfortunately.
My goggles last for an hour. Has it been over an hour?
I'll say no. But is there something
Okay.
that you can do in response to Sai's death? You see Sai. You see
Yeah, I see.
Sai's soul being torn from their body and being absorbed by the shadow that they are encased in.
Yes, there's something I can do.
What is that something? What is your reaction that you can do, Ian? Tell me, please.
Hold on. Well, no, because this is an effect. It's not a spell per se, is it?
No, it's not a spell. It's a legendary
I just can't
action.
yell out to. I can't yell out to Maeve what's going on.
Maeve can't see Sai.
Damn.
You
All
see
right, dude.
Sai slump inside of the shadow. You know that Sai is dead. There is no death saving throws. Sai, you are dead.
No.
Yeah.
You're dead.
That's it.
Karnak, it is your turn.
Okay. Mask bear dead. Yeah.
Mhm. A lot happened in that one action.
Shadow guy still alive?
Yes, Ludessus is still alive. They are glowing with radiant energy as if waiting for you to attack them.
And Maeve, or not Maeve, Sai is in this, for all he knows, Sai is in a ball of darkness.
Karnak's passive perception being what it is, I will say that he knows that Sai is encased in this shadow that Ludessus is currently holding in front of him. Yeah, this shadowy cocoon, as it were.
Gotcha.
I'm at a loss for words. I mean, we're gonna try and kill it, I guess. I don't avenge. I don't even know if I'm avenging anyone. You hurt Sai. Shadow step behind him.
Okay.
And try and slice his throat.
I mean, it doesn't really have a throat per se, at least not what
I mean, if it
Karnak
had
is accustomed to, but yeah, I get what you're going for.
I would slice it. Oof. I do get advantage on this first attack.
You got advantage from the radiant light as well.
So yeah, 21 to hit.
That hits.
Let's roll some damage. 9 points of piercing,
Plus,
11 points of snake attack,
okay,
and hit him again.
go for it. Do not have advantage on the second strike. Unless Shadow Step gives you advantage on all your attacks. It's just the first one, I think. Yeah. Go away, cat.
Another 24,
That hits.
and another 9 points of damage.
Right. Just so you guys know, you've done a decent chunk of damage to this thing. It seems to be extremely focused on Sai at the moment, however. It does not get to take a legendary action now. It is Maeve's turn.
Banishment.
Okay.
Don't aim for me.
That's a charisma save, right?
Yep.
It's a 14.
Yes! Banished! Fuck yes!
Does it have a legendary resistance still?
It only had 2.
Yes.
Let's go. Gone.
So Deb, please describe for us what this looks like as Maeve banishes Ludessus.
Without being able to see Sai, Maeve is freaking out a little bit and just pushes more energy into the banishment spell than she did before. She takes her staff and she like slams it on the ground, a la Gandalf, and just rips open that planar entry with the plants again, and channels all of the energy from the circle and the grove into this one spell.
Okay. As all of the manifestation of the circle of the grove rings up with being pulled forth by Maeve's command, every lash of vine and tree root and plant lashing out at this creature, binding itself to its somewhat physical form at every possible point that it can find. Grabbing onto it, there is a howl and a screaming of no as it is being pulled down into the terror of its own shadowy essence. And its hands are pulling Sai with it until a pair of vines reach out, wrapping around both of its appendages that have Sai's form in the shadowy cocoon, and yank it away from Sai, and it gets sucked into the plane of shadow. The cocoon disappears, dissipating slowly as Ludessus disappears from view themselves, leaving Sai's very dead, very pale form laying on the ground. You're muted.
Thanks. Maeve rushes over and casts Revivify.
Okay. So this is now the first time that we've had to, or we've gotten to use this. The revivification is not as simple. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It's the revivified is like normal. I apologize. We had talked about that. But it isn't as easy as Maeve would like it to be. What does it look like for Maeve? What does she do for this revivification to pull Sai's soul back into their body?
Maeve kneels down next to Sai and, like she did when she told Sai she was proud of them, she grabs Sai's face in her hands and she gently kisses their forehead. And Druid crafts some flowers into their hair and just presses all of the magic that she has into their forehead through this kiss, and just sort of hopes fervently that enough of the darkness is pushed at bay that this will work.
Okay. As Maeve does this. There's tears forming in her eyes, pain and suffering that she had been feeling that was the manifestation of the Archfey Ludessus that had disappeared when Ludessus disappeared, replaced by authentic pain and anguish at the loss of Sai. You hear a voice. Comes from everywhere and yet nowhere simultaneously. Voice that Maeve recognizes as one that Sai manifested once when they invoked the name of Nocturnus and called upon Nocturnus to aid them. The voice of Nocturnus rings out in Maeve's ears, quiet, consuming all other sounds around. And you hear a simple, somewhat rough, deep, resonating, "Thank you, child. She will be well." And you can see the color starting to return, the little bit of color in Sai's normally pale skin starting to return ever so slightly. Karnak and Kettle, you both see Maeve and Sai standing in a pillar of radiant, luminescent moonlight. Or I should say sitting, because they're on the ground. Sitting in this radiant moonlight. You didn't hear the voice of the Ascendant that spoke to Maeve, but you do bear witness to all of this emotion and circumstance as Sai's eyes begin to flutter open and their form stirs. Yeah.
You just see Sai's eyes open, and they're blue again, and they just look up at you, Maeve, blink a couple of times. I've had that nightmare more times than I can count, but every time it ended with you saving me. And here we are again.
Kettle, could she do that before?
Oh, I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know.
Maeve just hugs Sai as closely as she can.
Sai hugs back.
Should we give them a moment?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna stand over there.
I'm gonna go over there with you.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see what I did?
We'll pick poses. Yeah, you did great. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you were talking all that nonsense earlier.
Well, look, I
Can't
mean,
handle themselves now.
we both did good, all right, you and me.
That's
And
a load of malarkey.
Hey,
I kicked
see
his
that?
ass.
you see that
You saw
pine
me.
cone? You see that pine cone over there?
Yeah, I saw you
Yeah,
gently
that
throw
shot
that
it up
pine
real
cone.
good.
You see all that fire I threw?
Well, I mean, yeah, you were smoking at one point. I figured you were
Yeah.
going to catch a flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. We both can pat ourselves on the back this time.
No, we can't.
So as
No.
we fade to black here, gentlemen, the two of you trying to one up each other in what just transpired. Maeve and Sai wrapped in each other's arms in the aftermath of Sai returning to life once again. Our camera pans away, and there is a movement in the distance. The halfling form moves, and the camera and everything goes black. And that's where we're going to end tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The finale of Chaos Hungers has happened. It was wonderful. Some amazing storytelling, some amazing ingenuity from all of you. Every one of you are just awesome. For all of you that tuned in to watch, we love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. It's great being able to present this kind of a story in this way, and I am so thankful for you all watching and all of you lovely players here as well. It's worth mentioning that there may be an epilogue to this story. We'll find out what form that takes. But yeah, stay tuned. But for now, we're going to say goodbye to all of these lovely people. We're going to give them a chance to go around the table and introduce themselves and tell us all about the awesome things that they're up to on these fine interwebs that we call home. And we're going to start with Aaron.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad I got to play Karnak and use that interesting
voice mode. That way I can give you an interesting sort of character.
But also to have a fun time with all of these great people and enjoy a good story. Hopefully we'll hear a good epilogue and can maybe see some culmination to all of this. For those of you who'd like to see what I'm up to nowadays, you can find me on my Instagram at Omega Print Paint. I do 3D printing and miniature painting. Hopefully I'll post some things here soon, but with the holidays coming up, it might be sporadic. So otherwise, I'll try and get into some of these great stories again if they'll let me, and hopefully get to play with some of these amazing players. And thank you all for joining us.
Yes, indeed. And continuing things right along to Chucklehead number 2 of the evening, the fire lobber himself, my bro, my ooze, Ian.
Oh man. Hi, I'm Ian, everybody. You guys have seen me. I if you want to know what I'm doing, follow me on my Twitter at your boy Big. I'm on that on all social media. I'm doing a lot. I want to take the moment to say thank you, Miko, because like we've been with these characters for a while, telling this story, and then it all comes up to this ending. It was so satisfying. It was so much fun. Every time I'm at this table, I forget that I'm playing because I'm listening to everybody be awesome, and I'm so glad that I get to do this with you guys here and for however long you guys invite me back. So that's it. That's my outro.
Nice. We love you, boy. Well, we'll always have you back. And then continuing things over, Deb, the savior of Psy in this moment once again.
I would have been so sad if that didn't work. So thanks for letting me revive my BFF.
It worked?
It did, yes. It's been such a pleasure to play Maeve over the past couple of months. I love being in this world. I can be found on Instagram. You can see my cat's faces rather than their assholes. So you're welcome for all of those of you who happen to see Monster's butt today.
I think you managed to keep it from going full butthole.
Well, maybe. God, I hope so.
There was several attempts. He really is
he was
fond
really
of showing it off.
Into it today. But yeah, coming up, I'll be here next Wednesday for the 2-shot coming up. I'm also in an arc of La Not Eterna over on that channel. That is every other Friday currently.
Yeah, so not this Friday, but we'll have another one again next Friday.
Yes. And then yeah, I'm just hanging out here like Ian as long as I can. This place is great. Thanks, Miko.
You are quite welcome. And the woman of the hour, the the one that tugs at all of our heartstrings, the Beth Masco.
Oh, hey guys. Glad to be alive. Glad to have played this character who was a lot of fun to just to work through. I mean, we considered not keeping some of these characters through each of the arcs, and I'm so glad that we did, because there was so much more that we were able to pull from them and work with, and it made for some really fun role playing. So yeah, this has been so fun. Also, Aaron, you're a lot of fun to play with. So we're gonna have to play again together. Just so good. But I'm Beth. You can find me on the internet at Beth Masco. I'm also in that Lanata Turna game, so not this Friday, but the next Friday we'll have our next episode. And then I'm here on Wednesdays with this crew, and yeah, I'm sticking around too. So thank you, Miko.
You are welcome. We are very glad that you are sticking around, because this is, like everyone has said, this has been just a ton of fun. So, in conclusion, for all of this, I am Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM. You can find me on all the socials at _KS_GM. You can also check out my Linktree as well if you are interested in all of the things that I get up to. Check out my socials, check out my links. Like these guys mentioned, there's a lot of stuff going on, not only here, but in other channels that all these folks are a part of. Please tune in, because they all deserve the views that you can give, and the praise that they earn every single time they are at this table rolling dice. We do have a little bit more Ysterra left to go the remainder of the year, so starting next week, and for next Wednesday and the Wednesday after that, we're doing a two-parter called The Crimson Sails. That's a mystery intrigue adventure. A couple of these people are involved in that, and we've got a couple of other faces that you might have seen before on the channel participating as well. And then we're going to take a week off the first week of December, but then we'll return for the second and third Wednesday of December for another two-parter. It is well, I don't want to spoil anything with it, but it is a holiday heist. We'll just say that. It's a holiday heist type of game, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then we've got some news and stuff that I would love to share with you now about the new year, but we're not quite ready to share it just yet. But let's just say there's some long-term plans for Ysterra in the future, and you should definitely tune into our socials to hear about all that, because you might see some of these faces involved in that again. We'll see. But yeah, that's it for tonight. Thank you again to all of my fine players, all of you watching. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for giving us a space to be able to tell this tale. We are going to raid over to... Who are we raiding? We are raiding Dork Tales tonight. So please stick around for just a few moments while we get that all set up. And when you get over to their channel, say hi and tell them who sent you. And looking forward to seeing all of you again in the future. Bye, everyone.